Okay, so it's time to continue without any breaks. So as Johannes kindly mentioned also, we have published LIBER Open Science Roadmap. Perhaps you have had already the chance to browse through this, but if not, please do. And please give us your comments. You also had these feedback cards in your bag, so you can give us comments on that. I will briefly walk you through this document, not going into details because there is quite a lot of material, but to mention some main points. So it is Open Science Roadmap, and you can see the visual. So why we wanted to do this is to support and inspire LIBERbraries to do more with open science. The structure has sort of principles. I will mention three main principles we have behind our thinking. We focus quite a lot on cultural change, which is needed really to foster open science. We are working along 7 focus areas. We have provided recommendations, and then at the end of the document you have several case studies from libraries from different parts of Europe. And our wish is that together with the LIBER strategy, the Open Science Roadmap will guide and inspire you to advance open science. If you would like to bring some copies back home, I think we still have some available at LIBER desk. So the key principles we have taken along this document is transparency, and here we mean transparency through the whole research cycle. So today we have heard presentations pointing out transparency on specific parts of the research cycle, but we believe that it's important in the whole research cycle. And what libraries can do here, of course, a lot, but for example, to open the costs of their licenses, the cost of APCs, and also open contract information. And we have examples in Europe, so many countries have opened the APC costs, but for example, contract information we have opened in Finland, so all our contracts will be available. Sustainability is the second principle. So research outputs, infrastructures, funding should of course all be sustainable, and the role of libraries here is very strong. So we are there to secure information that is available also for future generations. So we very much work with metadata, with identifiers, and then develop long-term preservation solution. And collaboration, which was also mentioned in Johannes' talk, it's sort of embedded in our work. So libraries have over the years always collaborated, perhaps earlier more at local or national level, but now it's much broader. So even at global level, we do collaborate actively. And that's why libraries are so powerful in advancing open science. So we have these very large networks. Culture change, so as was mentioned already before, open science is very much about culture change. It's very much about the change in our mindset, in our thinking. We all can do a lot in this. So we are library directors, so for example we can open our decision-making processes, our communication. So there is not that much information which needs to be kept kind of secret or sort of inside the organization. We can open most of also the administrative part and policies and decisions. But then of course when we go to more practical level, so to raise awareness, to change mindset. Libraries can raise awareness. We can train our students and researchers, staff members and citizens on the different aspects of open science. So open science as a concept is not widely known in societies, so there is a lot to do. Libraries can communicate about inspiring outcomes of open science. And as I mentioned at the beginning, embed openness in all library activities. For example, at home at National Library Finland, we have an open national library policy. So we have listed how we are open. And these kind of examples libraries could use more widely. Sharing inspiring examples, of course, also encourages in thinking more about open science and really start to implement open science. And then research organizations in Europe should have an open science policy. It would be very good that we have a national open science policy, of course, but then each institution would need to think how they advance open science. And here also libraries are strong players. The Open Science Policy Platform has 8 action lines. In our recommendation paper, in our roadmap, we have 7. So we combined metrics and rewards into the same recommendations, but otherwise we are following the Open Science Policy Platform recommendations and action lines, and as was mentioned, the OSPP published the integrated advice to the Commission earlier this spring, and of course there is a link between these 2 documents. We have 30 recommendations as a whole, and I'm not listing all of these. I picked only a couple. So we are very much about open access, sort of publishing without delays, so immediate open access. We recommend that we should have a good, we should have staff with good data skills. So if we don't have, so we need to recruit new staff and then train our personnel to promote FAIR principles. And then to contribute to the ongoing development of the EOSC, endorse a San Francisco Declaration on Research Assessment, the DORA, and Leiden Manifesto, coordinate with other partners to provide a multidisciplinary one-stop shop for researchers to support them at every stage of research process in their open science workflows. And here we have very good examples from many countries. I think the Netherlands was one of the first ones really to move along this line, but in many other countries also this kind of approach has been already developed, but sort of it's worthwhile to further develop it so that the researcher doesn't need to sort of seek for help, that it's easily available for him or her. So libraries also should participate in establishing a code of conduct for research integrity and promote the library as an active partner in citizen science. This I need to say that we are still sort of seeking really what could be our active role. We heard a couple of good examples here, but on wider scale I think libraries still sort of are thinking, not yet implementing citizen science, so this is a new area for us. This is the research life cycle, and we tried to put here some examples of what is the role of libraries in different parts of the research life cycle. For example, in the planning of research. So we can support it in the development of data management plans. I don't read them all, you can read them on the screen. So supporting research, so of course the obvious one, support access to information, managing research, Here we stress interoperability, so we are the expert of metadata, persistent identifiers, vocabularies, ontologies, so we have a strong role here. Publishing, for example, support researchers in the publishing process in institutional repositories. Assessing, this is very much about developing next generation metrics, so libraries should follow carefully what is happening, but this is a new area, but then support researchers in this. And reuse, this is also related to metadata, but also raising awareness is a key issue here. So as you can see, we have multiple roles, and we have only listed here a couple, so I'm sure you would be able to list many more. But this is just to say that we have a very central role in fostering open science. We are in the city, in the center of research organizations. We know our researchers, we know our students, so we can really foster open science at our organizations. As mentioned, this roadmap was inspired by the work of the Open Science Policy Platform and also the integrated advice of that platform. LERU has also published Open Science and roadmap. The difference between LERU and LIBER roadmap is that LERU is focusing at the whole university, and then the LIBER is focusing on research libraries. We did collaborate in the work, so Paul Eris is still today our advisor on sort of LERU LIBER connections, and so Paul helped us also in sort of this linking of these two roadmaps. So thank you. That was very briefly the roadmap, and I hope you will study it more and really give us feedback on the roadmap. Would you like to ask something or comment or something? Otherwise, we just continue. We have the meeting of participants just starting.